Hi, my fellow YouTubers. How are you all doing? I am doing okay. So, I know I usually do reviews, but this won't be your typical movie review video. It'll be a little something different. So, today's video, well, I wouldn't call it a review, but more like, I'm missing it in a way. So, I will tell you all about it. All about it. So, back then when I don't know how old I was really. So about 2 or 3 years old, I remember. Okay, not fully remember. I remember when my dad used to watch wrestling back in the day. We were living in one of our old apartments on near Charlotte and McMurtry in Brampton, and I was remembering the time when my dad used to watch wrestling back in the day. Well, he still does, but it's not like it used to be. It was like the old wrestling. And we had one TV back in the day before each of us had our own TV. Yeah. And oh, I remember just watching it with him, and that's how he got me into wrestling. I remember how good it was back in the day. And I know I used to be afraid of the Undertaker when he first started, but I'm not anymore. Because I know they're just characters. Yes, baby. And, yeah. And you know how, like, in a movie, there's always the good guy and the bad guy. WWE was the same thing, too. There's good guys and there's bad guys. But they were only in character just to entertain the fans. I didn't know it at the time, but now I do. They're just playing a role like in a movie. Like Undertaker was playing the role kind of like Michael Myers from Halloween or Jason from Friday the 13th. So, they're like inspirations. But let me tell you, when they're out of character, they're some of them are very friendly. Yeah, I know. Yeah. If you're wondering where the purring's coming from, it's my cat, Hunter. She loves it when I pet her, don't you, boo boo? Yeah. It's kind of hard for me to move the camera while I'm petting her, but she knows I love her. And FYI, no, we did not name my cat Hunter after Triple H. Just to give you a heads up. We named her Hunter because, for her to hunt the mice. That's why we named her. So no, it was not after Hunter Hearst Townsley, just to give you a heads up. Yeah. So, back in 2007, I was about 17 years old. Yes, I was. And one of my cousins was about 9, yes. And I was still in high school when this happened. My dad took me and my cousin to see wrestling live. Oh my god, it was so cool. I mean, on TV it's not so bad, but when you see it live, it's so loud. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, it's different. Yeah. So, I guess you can say I had a good experience, seeing WWE live. Seeing Kane and, who else? Randy Orton, Rob Van Dam, Matt and Jeff Hardy. Tori Wilson was there, and Ric Flair. Who else? I think the newer divas were there. Like Mickie James was there. Well, she was new to me. Melina, Michelle McCool. Uh, who else? Oh, the diva Victoria and John Cena, and yeah, so it was a good experience. But we set up high, so our signs wouldn't weren't able to be filmed, but that's okay. It's it's having fun. It's what counts. You want to be on the camera, boo boo? Oh, hold on. I can't videotape you. There we go. Oh wow, another baby. Yeah, I just want to make her feel included, so forgive me for that. So yeah, I had a few favorites. Okay, more like a lot. Bret Hart was one of my favorites. Who else? The Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. I was disappointed he wasn't there that night when we went, but that's okay. At least Tori was. Um, Trish Stratus and Tori. Um, who else? Lita. Yeah, I remember Lita and China, the ninth wonder of the world. Hmm. Yeah, that was good back then. Even when my TA said that she and her dad used to watch WWE. WWE, well, it was WWF back then. She remember her and her dad would get so excited, and her mom would get upset that because of the loud noises. And I'm like, wow, I didn't know you were a wrestling fan, because I thought I'd be the only one. But I had some friends that were also a wrestling fan. Hmm. And yeah, but back in the high school days, one of my friends were told that they weren't allowed to talk about wrestling, and I'm like, why? Like, it's a sport like any other sport. Like, it just didn't make sense to me. I mean, what you don't know that these wrestlers, they practice, they train. Yeah. And well, accidents do happen, and sometimes you can't always prevent those kind of accidents. But I do remember that ad when they were talking about, their necks being broken and having injuries on their legs. And then the announcer would be like, please don't try this at home. And that was an eye opener. Because, when you see something on TV, it's not real. But when you try to do a certain stunt, you can end up getting hurt. So that's why they did those kind of commercials. So yeah, kind of like a prevent it commercial. Like they're trying to teach you how to prevent something you see on TV or prevent an accident from happening when you have a job. Yeah. So I remember that. Oh, it was just a phase. I'm sure a lot of you go through these phases, but I was going into my preteen years and I had a crush on Chris Jericho. I was so naive at the time, but then I grew out of it because, when you have celebrity crushes, you move on to one celebrity to another. But he was one of my favorite wrestlers. Yeah, I remember that, but that was just a phase. And yeah, another thing I want to share. I mean, we know that Triple H and Stephanie are the villains in the show because they're entertaining the fans. But in real life, they're really nice people. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I saw Stephanie doing, you know, a video about bullying, and I'm like, oh, I would love to tell her my story. Well, anyhow, I would love to tell her and Triple H. I know it's not gonna happen, but I would have loved to tell her, and of course, Triple H, my story. You know, what? Because as a bully victim myself, I want to tell them, that I've been bullied too because, you know, me having a disability, which is cerebral palsy, but I don't let that stop me. And like, it's who I am. And I did had a hard time making friends back then when I was in elementary school. Me wearing braces to help me walk and going through the surgery, going through physiotherapy. That was tough. There were times when I felt depressed. Like, I would think to myself, why me? Why did I deserve this kind of treatment? I would have loved to tell them my story. And, you know, I want to be an inspiration to someone, knowing that, they're not alone in this. Like, if I can go through it, so can that other person. Like, yeah. And I would have loved to do a podcast with Triple H and Stephanie. I would love to know how they made their marriage strong and how they work it out and what advice they can give to, people who are planning on getting married or people who are in a relationship. That kind of thing. Yeah. So it would be cool to, interview a celebrity, but I know they're too famous for that. But it, it's a dream. Anything can happen. So, yeah. I remember back in the day when my aunt and uncle would come over when it would be a wrestling special, like the Royal Rumble or WrestleMania. List goes on and on. And half of the times I wouldn't be allowed to watch the whole thing because most of those specials were on a school night. And I'm like, oh, dang, I have school the next morning. Yeah. Well, back then we used to record those specials and those Raw episodes. Yeah, but the only times I would be allowed to watch the specials were Judgment Day because it was the May 2-4 weekend and I didn't have school the next day. And the ones in the summer, it was called Invasion, but they switched it to Vengeance. And I would only watch those because it was in the summertime. And SummerSlam. Yeah. So those were the days. And yeah. Heck, I still talk to my friends about WWE. I know it's not like it used to be. Like, everything's now a soap opera. Like, Days of Our Lives, General Hospital, Passions. So, But knowing it's all a storyline, like, it's not real. I have to, say to myself, okay, it's not real. It's just fake. Like that storyline with when Mickey James was so obsessed with Trish Stratus, kind of like, single white female in a way. But again, these things happen and it can happen in real life too. That's why they shoot these storylines. So anyhow, yeah. Where boo boo. Oy. Oh my baby. Oh my baby. Do you like to be in the camera too long? Yeah. So yeah. Sometimes my mom and I talk about the old wrestlers, like, yeah, Marty Jannetty. I wasn't too crazy for Hulk Hogan, but I did like the Ultimate Warrior and Randy Savage. And I never would have thought that Cyndi Lauper was a manager of Wendy Richter, who was also in WWE. I was like, that can't be Cyndi Lauper. Like, no way. Like, I know Cyndi Lauper, the singer. Like, when she did her smash hit, Girls Just Want to Have Fun. And then when I heard Wendy Richter say that line, I'm like, hey, that's Cyndi Lauper's song. I was like, oh, I never knew Cyndi Lauper was her manager until I saw clips of it. Because I know, I remember, okay, not really remember, but I know the Fabulous Moolah and Mae Young were wrestlers back in the day. And, Captain Lou, he was, the Fabulous Moolah's manager. So I saw clips of that on YouTube. And he was also in her music video, Cyndi Lauper's music video, when she did Girls Just Want to Have Fun. Yeah. And I still have that song on my phone. And her other songs. Cyndi's. I love you, Hunter. Yeah. And a lot of you don't know. I don't even remember. But I was watching the Super Mario Brothers Super Show when Captain Lou was Mario, when he played the live action Mario. And they would have, like, Cyndi as the guest star and Sergeant Slaughter. Oh yeah, and I remember Big Boss Man and Kevin Nash, who was Diesel at the time. Yeah, most of these wrestlers have passed on, but it was entertaining back in the day. Sometimes I watch old clips on YouTube, just to remember the old times. Especially when Chris Jericho would always make fun of Stephanie when they're acting. And even The Rock. The Rock was one of my favorites too. I personally think that he should have been a comedian. I mean, all the jokes that he makes when he was in WWE, he should have been a comedian. But The Rock can do anything. He can act, he can sing, he can be a good guy, he can be a bad guy. That's why I chose him as one of my favorites. Yeah, those were the days. And Stone Cold Steve Austin. I can go on and on. Excuse me. Well, that will be it for now. So please subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in my next video. Toodles!